The National Council of Teachers of Mathematics welcomes you to Adding It All Up, a podcast created by and for mathematics educators and teachers. Join us each month as we explore current topics, insights, and emerging trends with thought leaders in the math community. And now, the hosts of Adding It All Up, NCTM President Latrenda Knighton and NCTM Past President Kevin Dykma.
Hi, welcome to a special episode of Adding It All Up. We're here to talk about the latest mathematics results from the National Assessment of Educational Progress, better known as NAEP, or the Nation's Report Card. Now, what did the 2024 math scores tell us, and what do they mean for students, teachers, and policymakers? Joining Kevin and me for this important discussion is NCTM Associate Executive Director Dave Barnes.
Thanks, Latrenda. And thanks, Latrenda and Kevin, for having me join you. So to get us started, for those unfamiliar, can you help us understand exactly what is NAEP and why should people care about these results?
Thanks, Dave. NAEP is a nationwide assessment that provides a snapshot of how United States students are performing in core subjects, particularly mathematics. Typically, mathematics assessments are done periodically, and so we're reporting on data collected in 2024. The sampling is done across all 50 states, and there are also a collection of cities that participate. The results help policymakers and educators track trends, identify gaps, and guide decisions about improving instruction.
All right, let's dive into the numbers then. So they released the 2024 NAEP results for math for grades 4 and 8. What do you see as the major results?
Well, when we look at grade 4, the overall fourth grade results show a 2-point increase in the national average compared to 2022. So overall results at fourth grade are still 3 points below pre-pandemic levels from 2019.
And when we look at the 8th grade results, they're unchanged from 2022. We would love for them to go up, but staying the same is much better than decreasing. Overall, however, this still puts us 8 points down from 2019 to both the 2022 and the 2024. So we know there's continued work to be done. In both cases, both the 4th grade and the 8th grade, we recognize that students who are on the lower end of the scores aren't seeing as much improvement as those that are on the top end of the scores. So unfortunately, the performance gaps are widening in mathematics.
So we're gaining some back, but we're not back to our pre-pandemic levels. Now, I know in looking at NAEP, they have a benchmark that talks about students that are mathematically proficient. How did we do there?
Well, when we think about fourth grade, 39% of our students performed at or above the proficient level. That's a 3 percentage point increase from 2022, but it's still below those 2019 levels. In 8th grade, only 27% of our students reach proficiency. Again, as Kevin mentioned, there's no real change from 2022. But what's very concerning is that 40% of 8th graders scored below the basic level. So meaning when you look at those results, you would actually conclude or characterize that students are lacking foundational math skills.
That seems to be a troubling trend. Is there any good news or success stories?
Without a doubt, there are some success stories, and I think we'll continue to hear more about these success stories in the upcoming months and years as we all look to some of these states and what's happening. One of the states that I wanted to shout out is Alabama. Alabama seems to have made some significant gains. In fact, in 4th grade, they were up 6 points in mathematics. I do know that Alabama recently, within the last few years, passed the Alabama Numeracy Act. This Numeracy Act is doing several things, which I think is really impacting the mathematics opportunities and the achievement for our students in Alabama. They're increasing the amount of mathematics specialists in their elementary schools, so that there's people with additional knowledge about mathematics and mathematics instruction and best practices, so that they're able to share their wisdom with the other teachers in their building so that all students can be impacted. Additionally, in Alabama, they've really increased the amount of math-specific professional development for their teachers and for their principals. And I'm convinced it's through this continual investment of resources in professional development for our teachers. We need to be continually coming up with new ideas. We need to be sharing our strategies. We need to be sharing our success stories. And Alabama's providing those resources for the school districts to do such a thing. So I just want to congratulate Alabama for that. And I know there are other states that are looking at doing similar things to this Numeracy Act. I think we're at a crossroads. We're at an exciting time where we continue to hear more and more states investing into some math-specific professional development to really increase opportunities for students to be successful.
And if I could just share one thing, lots of people had their own statewide press conferences to talk about the NAEP results when they were released. And many of them were very complimentary that they looked to the model that Alabama started. And so they've begun to implement some of those things. Now, some of them have not committed totally to the entire program that Alabama has put forth. But I think that's telling that we're learning from each other and we're looking at those models to help increase the opportunities for all students.
That's really great. It seems like the systemic piece, at least in Alabama's case, really made a difference to make a statewide effort really has that impact. So sometimes we're inundated with data and test scores and those types of things. Why should the average person, as well as teachers and leaders, care about the NAEP results?
Well, we should all care about NAEP results because we are all math people. There's no such thing as some people are math people, some people are not. We all need mathematics. It's very important. And so being fluent mathematically is just essential to just existing in everyday life. You need this to actually control and manage your personal finances, as well as to increase career opportunities. So it's really important that we make sure that we put those measures in place that help our students to get a strong foundation in mathematics. So it's not really just about passing a test. It's making sure that all of our students are prepared for future job opportunities, for their interests, and making sure that they have those foundational understandings that's going to help us to make sure that we can thrive in a rapidly changing economy. And just thinking about how math relates to all of the things that we do in our everyday lives, things that we need to make sure that we are competitively providing our students with the things they need to just thrive in their futures, is we really know that they need those skills to impact national economic growth, innovation, and really even civic participation. So it's essential just to our continued existence.
It's interesting. Can you say a little more about how math skills and fluency connect with increased opportunity? I don't know that that's a connection that most people make.
Yeah, I think it's definitely about those opportunities. Think back to the NAEP scores in this last round are showing that those students who have been excelling are continually excelling. So they're being provided opportunities that other students are not being provided with. And mathematics should not just be for some. Mathematics, as Latrenda talked about, is for every single one of our students. And we need to look at what can we do to continually help all of our students develop the necessary fluency so they can continue to have opportunities. We know that, unfortunately, those students who don't have some of those opportunities, they end up with fewer career choices later on in life. And by career, I don't mean just those that are going to college. I talk about those that are going from the high school realm straight into the workforce, straight into the military, straight into career and tech ed, straight into vocational schools, as well as those that are going to the 2-year and 4-year institutions. But we know that students who don't have those opportunities in mathematics to have that success, they end up with fewer career opportunities, which often leads then to less economic mobility for our adults or for our students when they become adults. We also need to address this notion of, when we think of math as for some, it becomes socially acceptable to say, I'm not good at math. It should not be socially acceptable to say, I'm not good at math. We need to look at what can we do to better meet the needs of all of our students so that we can have increased opportunities for every single one of our students, not just those students who are going into STEM careers.
Okay, Kevin, what should we be doing then? What are some strategies that we can take that you would recommend so that all students have access to more and better mathematics?
Well, as you said in your question, Dave, we're talking about having access and for all students. So we like to think of three key things that we can do to make sure that we provide those opportunities for all students so that we level the playing field. One is to support teachers. And so what we're talking about is having professional development opportunities specific to mathematics. That's critical. All of our teachers, pre-K-12, need a deep understanding of mathematics, accompanied with effective strategies to engage students so that our students are all having an opportunity to have access to a teacher who is well-versed in the mathematics and well-versed in those effective teaching strategies that result in students being engaged and learning mathematics. Our second suggestion is to ensure access to high quality instruction for every student. So that means we need to think about closing those opportunity gaps. As we said here, how we saw there's a big discrepancy between our students who have been our lower performing students and our higher performing students. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that accompanied with having that support for teachers, that professional development, that we have an increased opportunity to make sure that all students have access to experienced, well-supported math teachers. And so especially think about our students who have the greatest needs. In many instances, this is where those students have the most inconsistencies with having a regular teacher, particularly for mathematics. We know that the STEM careers are typically where we have a higher incidence of some school districts not having enough teachers who are certified or qualified to teach those courses. So we really need to make sure we put a priority of having access to high quality instruction for all of our students and really looking at those students who have not had those opportunities in the past. And the third is engaging learning. Engagement matters. Our students are in school, they are very active, they're very inquisitive. And so we need to make sure that we're providing them with opportunities that get them actively involved in what they're learning. Because when they see that the math is relevant to things that they do every day and they're able to make connections, that's when it sticks to them. That's when it makes sense. And then they actually learn what they're being taught, and then they're actually able to become users and doers of mathematics. And they no longer see that it's something that happens from 10 to 11 o'clock, Monday through Friday. This is something that I see every day. This is something I can use in my real life to bridge to other things that I can make connections.
One of the things that come to mind are these investments. Like, are we really investing enough specifically in mathematics, teaching and learning?
I think we're making progress, but we need to continue to make progress. I mean, I think the story of Alabama and the results they have on the NAEP is showing that the investment is paying off. And we need continued states to expand their investments. We need the federal government to continue to invest in mathematics education. And I want to just piggyback on Latrenda's big three key areas there, because I think it's a combination of those three key areas. It's a combination of supporting teachers and recognizing that our professional development doesn't end when we graduate from college or when we graduate from our teacher preparation program or whatever. That really, in many respects, our professional development begins on day one of the job and goes until the end of our teaching careers. And we need to look at what are we doing to better support teachers and to treat teachers as professionals and recognize that a scripted program is not going to be beneficial. Teachers should have that flexibility to look at a group of kids and say, all right, what am I going to try to do with today? We have all these either or things. We need to be looking at both ands with our teachers and treat them as professionals. When I think about that high quality instruction, we know a lot about high quality instruction. We have those 8 effective mathematics teaching practices from principles to actions. We need to continue to implement those with our students to make that learning engaging for our students. In the past, I think we've had a focus, or many outside organizations have had a focus on the high quality instructional materials. They're vital, but it's not just the high quality instructional materials. It's that teacher professional development that goes along with them. So I was so pleased that Latrenda mentioned those big 3 key areas. I think we need to continue to focus on those key areas of supporting our teachers, ensuring the access to high quality instruction for every single student, get all of our students engaged in that learning. And I hope that we can continue to use NAEP results, continue to use other things to really help our policymakers, to help all educators recognize through systemic and sustained commitment, we really can continue to increase opportunities for your student success in mathematics for every single one of our students.
As we start to wrap this up, what should our big takeaways be for our listeners? What should they be paying attention to as they think and start to move forward?
Yeah, I think one big key takeaway is we need to recognize we're all in this together. Then improving mathematics education. And I don't want to say it's just because of this last round of the NAEP results. We need to be continually improving mathematics education. I know NCTM has a long, rich history of continually advocating for improving mathematics education. It's not going to be a quick fix. It's not going to be, we ever achieve that every single student's doing exactly what we want to do. But we need to continually improve mathematics education, but it's a shared responsibility. It's not just on the mathematics teachers. It's not just on the policymakers. It's not just on the administrators. It's not just on the parents and the caregivers, but it's that shared responsibility. And when educators, parents, policymakers, communities, schools, when we're all working together, that's when we can continually improve mathematics education and, most importantly, increase opportunities for students to be successful in mathematics.
Thank you, Kevin. The stress that you gave on the shared responsibility is so important because we all have a stake in this. This is important for all of us because it impacts everyone, parent, student, policymaker, community member. And as part of that shared responsibility, it is a responsibility for all of us to advocate for those policies that prioritize those 3 things: that teacher support, that professional development, student engagement, and access to quality instruction for all students. And I'm so glad you mentioned, Kevin, about some people, and there have been times we focus on high quality materials. Notice our key strategy is high quality instruction, because I think about the years I spent as a coach and working as a supervisor. It's not I can put the best materials in someone's hand, but it's what the user is able to do with those materials. And so many times you can't just go and purchase something and it's going to correct or help or maybe even provide a solution to a problem. It's have someone being there to support that person who's in the classroom with students and providing them with that professional learning that allows them to be able to make those in the moment decisions that meet the needs of the children who are in front of them. And so you can only do that if we're investing in that ongoing professional development, as you said. So we're constantly learning. And so we all have to advocate for those things. Parents who currently have students in pre-K-12 situations, parents whose students have moved on and are adults, as students are some of our strongest advocates because they tell us they need to be engaged. They tell us that things need to be relevant. And so if we work collectively with that shared responsibility and we're asking for these pieces and asking for things that support that, that's how we're going to continuously support our students. As times change and as students change, we will always be there to be responsive to the needs of those students, to the needs of the educators and the community at large.
That's a powerful message. Thanks so much, Kevin and Latrenda, for helping us make sense of these 2024 NAEP math results.
Discover how you can enhance your teaching skills and positively impact student outcomes in mathematics. Visit nctm.org/pd to learn more about NCTM's professional development opportunities for your school or district.